seem to fit, then we'd have to draw straws. I anticipate that we're going to wind up with a number that we can accommodate, I hope.
We filed an application to the state for approximately 90 Chromebooks. We expect that that will be funded after the first of the year because the state has reached its bonding limit for 2015. So we expect that that would be funded sometime after the first of the year, and that will give us an additional 90 Chromebooks.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Again, 3 years.
Thank you for all the effort.
Yeah.
It's great.
I'm going to thank my staff. I'll pass that along.
Is anybody tracking the number, like, we saw a reduction, is anybody else curious about why? I mean, there's obviously a diverse reasons why we're losing so many kids. Are we tracking that? I mean, Dr. Smiski said that some of them are going to magnet school. Are we really, is anybody really tracking this information from that grade up?
What we did this year is we sent out a questionnaire to parents who are students that go on to magnet school.
Yeah, I can tell you, we sent out a survey to approximately 100 parents who had their students go to magnet schools over the last couple of years. Received about 20 responses, and there's little consistency in how they respond. For the most part, and we asked, and we'll share those results with you so that you can see it as well. But we asked what was the reason that you decided to go, whether it was about course offerings or other reasons, and there is a mixed response. Some of them, because there were course offerings that they wanted, weren't individualized, but the majority of them listed things that weren't about that, the ones who responded. They talked about concern about not getting enough attention, not enough individualized attention, or concerns about safety, some things that were specific to their student having had an unpleasant experience of some kind on a school bus or things like that. So there's very little, there's no smoking gun in there, this is what they're all looking for. But overall, the message is we wanted them to be in an environment in which they could take these particular types of classes. We did ask if those courses were offered at RHAM, would you reconsider your decision? And I think 2 of the respondents said yes, and the rest of them said no.
But I guess in a broader sense, these people we know these people are going somewhere else because they're still living in the community. We still,
Yeah.
can we track that information? We do. We do?
Yes.
Okay, so we have these numbers, the declining enrollment, let's say the number was 61, whatever I saw on the slide. We're losing 61 students to magnet schools.
No, some are just because there aren't as many kids going into the elementary
When
school.
you look at who's in school, there's 3 places that they can go. They can go to the BOAC, they can usually go to Lyman BOAC, they can go to Latinburg BOAC, or they can go to the technical school, they can go to Lima Tech. So in that number, there are numbers of those kids who go to those 3 places.
So you get those, Joe, you could track, but the thing that you don't necessarily have the immediate handle on is how much is as a result of a generation having less children than the prior generation, so you're getting less kids available to the population, and how many are simply flat out leaving the area, just departing from the state and taking their families with them, and therefore we have less kids in the area too.
Right, I was going to say, it's a combination of a lot of things, but we are tracking the magnet school issue.
Because it's a budget impact, as in some cases.
If I can add, I mean, it would be, in the paper alone, it was that how many thousands of people have left the state of Connecticut, okay? And as a real estate agent, I can tell you there's a glutton of houses on the market of people that have left the state of Connecticut. And you can't blame them for leaving, but that's my opinion. But also, there was a report that families are getting smaller It ain't like having 3, 4, 5, 6 kids. 1 or 2 if you have any at all, these couples now, because they can't afford it right away, coming out of college, they're already in hock to begin with. And I can tell that as a neighbor, they can't afford to start a home anymore, a lot of kids coming out of college. All right, I can tell you firsthand. And a lot of people are leaving the state of Connecticut. You know, let's face it.
Great, thank you, everyone. Let's go on to reports. Item number 7, committee reports, communication.
I wasn't able to make it. Rich?
Yeah, we had 2 topics on our meeting. We had a technology update from Mr. Johnson, who's our IT director. Actually, network administrator, I get the title right. He gave us an update to where we are on our network. He showed us a network map. I think everyone got a copy of that in their notes. He also, the good thing is, everything, you're talking about this area, having network problems back at, during the budgets, and he believes that there are none of those problems anymore. He introduced a plan where he wants to go towards. It addresses some concerns with our network that we are not fault tolerant in any way. So we have a number of areas where one piece of equipment could go down and take out the whole network. So he's starting to put a plan together to start increasing our redundancy, and that was that part. The second part, we asked some reporters to come, and no one showed up, so we weren't able to have that discussion.
Thanks, Rich. Facilities?
We met, I don't know if it was really the facilities committee meeting, but we had 2 meetings. That was called for the DSC group. Came in and gave a proposal of the outside of the building facility. And I think it was a great presentation both nights. I think everybody on the committee had a lot of great questions. But basically, we have some significant issues that were pointed out to us. The main one basically was that every entrance at the school is designated handicap accessible, and we've come to find out that really isn't the reality of it. So that may impact the study going forward. We're waiting to find out, I think through Dr. Sminsky, if he has any further update on that, but I think they were working with the engineers to.
I asked them to concentrate on this piece so I could get it off to the state. So the state would know we would do some work on it. But then if not mistaken, they're coming back on the 5th to make a presentation to the facility subcommittee. And while that's all going on, I've been working on the forms for reimbursement. I think EDO 49 and trying to get that incomplete. So we'll be ready to send that into the state because there's some additional information that I'm going to need. But then I'm going to require some motions of the board the next time the board meets to allow that to go forward. To give you an idea, look at this document and you can see the motions that are going to be required of the board to apply for state funding.
Well, that's being passed out. We'll just move on with the BSC is going to be, like I said, about Dr. Smith will be presenting on November 5th to this facility committee and with all their findings. The Collier group has already made a presentation. The only question I have is, are they coming back in
I've asked them to come back
on the same night?
on the same night.
So November 5th, we're going to have both presentations?
I think that if we just limit it to time, and what I'm planning to do, one group at one time, and the other group, I'm thinking about an hour apart, an hour for each group. If you want them to have more time, that's fine. I would just rather tell them to be there at a time certain, so they don't have to wait around for the other group to finish.
And it took 3 hours, or more than that, right?
3 hours for BSC,
ESC.
so maybe we gotta have a discussion on that. So basically, between the two proposals, we think Colliers reports shows about $7 million roughly, and BSC group, they kind of gave us a bunch of numbers around, estimated, some of the group members had asked questions, the concrete being probably one of the largest numbers. So we're looking at, potentially, close to between 12 and $14 million. I think one member estimated some of those numbers as they were being discussed over the next 10 years, possibly. And that was pretty much it. I think it was a very thorough presentation, very in-depth as far as numbers, and I think we'll be pleasantly, our eyes will be woken up and open to see what the real costs are going to be. But I think it was a great decision to go in this direction, to get these both engineering studies done. That way everything is out in the open and there's no more guesswork on it. The only other comment I'd like to make is that I wanted to just recognize Rich Clarko and the town of Hebron for the fine work that they're doing on the fields. I think it shows. I've talked to a lot of the student athletes, specifically on the comp field. Of course, we haven't had a lot of rain, but it's been remarkable in the shows. So kudos to Rich and his team. And I think that's it. The next meeting is November 5th.
Policy, Kevin?
Okay, so policy did meet, and the result is the series of first reading policies that you'll see listed later in section 8. There were a couple of policies that council was reviewing that we did not get before the last policy meeting. The next policy meeting would normally be on the 3rd, which happens to be election day, so we are looking at postponing that meeting. But these two policies in particular that council had reviewed and gotten into us within the last week are ones that the board, I think, needs to consider more rapidly. So we're going to distribute them now. They will be posted on the web as well. But want to make sure that we get a good review done over the course of the next month and prepare ourselves for our next meeting to have a full-blown conversation, try to get these nailed down. The first one, our recommended modifications to policy 9345, which is public meetings and executive session. And specifically, this is in response to the FOI complaint that was lodged. The recommended language is a change, it is an addition to the policy. On the second page, it would be item C, and it's specifically that the board shall designate a specific area for members of the public to wait in during an executive session. At the end of an executive session, a Board of Education member will go to the designated area and indicate the executive session complete and give time for people to come to the session before the meeting resumes. That specific language is in here for our review and discussion, and that's up on the meeting. So just to keep that moving forward.
Question, Kevin.
Yes?
Reading through your minutes, it seems like there was only yourself was at the last program.
On the policy? That's correct.
How can an individual submit all these policies to the board without having a...
Because, well, first of all, I can't control who does and does not arrive. The committee is made up of 4 of us, and I happen to be the one that was there. It was fully well announced, and reminders were sent out to the committee members and so forth. As far as anything else goes, these are recommendations that come before the board, and the board is the only one with the authority to take action. So the subcommittee has no power other than to facilitate the movement of language through the board. The board itself is the body that dictates whether or not that policy is passed, gets reworded, or gets adjusted.
Any updates, majority of them are statutory and put together by council to make sure that we're compliant.
For the majority of them,
with
yes.
the law. So, and again, there's 2 readings. There's a first reading. You have time to give comment back to the committee and the whole board, and then there's a second reading when the board adopts.
But we set it up so that we're supposed to send our comments through email to the committee, thinking that the committee is going to look at them and now it's only one person.
It's not.
I will tell you at the last couple of meetings where there have been a lower than normal number, the people that could not attend actually sent me email with their feedback based on those comments that were received. So the entire committee saw the comments. They provided feedback. I know Mike Turner specifically has provided me with email feedback directly on the comments that were made and positions made. So all of that's been factored in.
If somebody would like to volunteer themselves to
Yeah.
go on the committee, let me know. Be happy
Wide
to
open to
approach
you. The second policy that needs more immediate review is one that does not exist yet, so there is no policy number assigned to it yet. And this regards the issue of resident students that are not attending the public school participating in extracurricular activities offered by the district. So this issue has been brought forward and some correspondence has been made to the administration as well as the board on this topic. And council has taken a look at it to review both sides of the equation, the openness and availability of programs and where they may support a student's needs that happen to be in the area. And the flip side, making sure that, once you open the door for one, you open it for all, that we don't open the floodgates to problematic areas with regard to those. So they actually divided it into two parts. The one pager would be the policy language, which is, as most policies are, a little bit more broad, just giving you the parameters. The second two pages are their recommendations on what the administrative regulations would be that would guide the administration and how to execute underneath that policy. I'm sorry, yep, that's coming. So that's the administrative regs, is the second piece. Again, same thing, is here for our review and our discussion at the next meeting specifically. And I'm going to suggest that because of the importance of both of these measures, that we do entertain these as individual motions and that we have discussions specifically around these policies as opposed to those that are simply updates to match Connecticut state statutes where we're modifying language to be in compliance with the state. So no action required specifically on that. Beyond that, that's a policy.
Judy, program?
Okay, program subcommittee just met on last Monday, and the guidance counselors were there to go over the guidance self-survey, and it was pretty evident that they put a lot of time into the self-study, that they really were very thoughtful in their responses, were analytical, were probably kind of hard on themselves in some spots. And I'll have, I know Manny and Rich were there join in, but they had a lot of ideas about what they want to be doing, not only where they're at now, but where they want to go. And an example is that typically, because the way time has been, they haven't given a lot of time to sophomores. So they want to increase some time and attention with specific activities. They also, when prompted by Rich and others, spoke about, possibilities for really giving more career and work kinds of experiences to give kids ideas about what that could be. And they talked about trying to use Naviance better and maybe a little bit differently. Parents have always had access, but just to, possibly remind parents or remind students. Also talked about even just very simple things. Like there was an email that went out to almost all parents, and it was someone's last name, and that the possibility that that could get buried in all the very many emails people get, that maybe there should be something, if it was coming from all of RAM guidance, that would say RAM guidance. So that would be important to students on their school Gmail accounts as well as to parents. So I think it was pretty evident that they have put in a lot of time, that they want to really continue the kinds of things that they've been doing, because they see the importance in those kinds of things, like the working with students and counseling and many of the tasks that they do, as well as they want to take, I think, even more of a leadership role. So Nanny and Rich, I don't know what you want to add on that.
The only thing I added is, they pointed out that the 503 plans where they're spending a lot more time.
504.
504. They're spending a lot more time managing some of those plans, which is taken away from the career plan and student guidance.
Yeah, and they've had to do that increasingly more in the last 5 years, as everybody's doing more with less. They've had some new responsibilities. Thank you. Okay, so then we also heard about the RAM Academy, and there were some teachers there as well. And I think we were all pretty excited about the possibilities that students would be able to go forward in all of the, with the same, as Lauren said, curriculum, and really meeting math and language arts curriculum standards, but be able to be hopefully really motivated because they would be pursuing things that they specifically were interested in. And we asked the same question that I think someone else asked, which was, okay, so then what happens with high school? Which is, I think, what the teachers have asked and kind of the question everybody's asking. But I think the committee, we really applauded Dr. Szymanski, the team, the teachers, everybody, that they're trying to take what could be a big problem and something we're hearing about statewide with declining enrollment and use it as an opportunity or really a way to put in place, what many people are advocating with personalized learning. Do you want to? Okay, and then we didn't spend much time, but we did have, once again, the strategic plan on our agenda. It was running a little bit late at that point. So I think more what was done at that point was Dr. Szymanski pointed out some areas in the strategic plan that was originally done with the community that really should be focus areas or areas of improvement around communication. I know Rich shared that the committee, I think, was meeting the following night, the communication subcommittee, but about that really we wanted to get that message out to people and some other kinds of things. So we're talking about the strategic plan and I guess where it needs some.
One of the things that Bob brought up is recommending that we open up that plan again and take a look at it. It's surprisingly outdated pretty quickly this time, and we should be looking at redoing it.
Just to add, the plan does not address declining enrollment. It address an issue like the one-on-one initiative. Both of those two prime things that are confronting us and need to be addressed in some way, shape, or form, so that there's a long-range view of those things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's maybe somewhere in our board goals about maintaining quality of programming or using resources wisely or something in the board's goals. So, and I think, yeah, that we shared, although it's a lot of work and a lot of work was originally put in last time, that it's also a nice community activity really to get together around what the vision and the plan is for the school, and that the last time that it was done, it was pretty impressive. Some of the things that came out of really even not the subgroups I was working on, but just to hear some of the ideas from some of the other folks, I was just incredibly impressed about the RAM Pride and everything. So we view it as, we know that it'll be a tough budget cycle probably. We look at it as an opportunity to hopefully help crystallize some of what people view as the most important things and resources necessary.
comment on the communication part? Would that be appropriate at this time, or?
Of the plan?
Yeah,
Sure, yeah.
I thought about this today, that we have this alert system, and I thought about it today that we maybe add it, have some discussion on it from your committee, but, you know, we have this technology that we're starting to expand on different things. I think it's been great, notifying the school systems and the parents of what's going on. But a good example of that would be today that we had a district meeting, that we could have notified the parents of the district, and also that we start using it to invite people to come to our board meetings.
Other school systems do that. My wife's school in Hartford use it for exactly that purpose.
The only objection that I would raise to that is from an emergency management perspective, using an emergency communication system to give them general announcements lessens the impact of those emergency messages when they go out. So
Well, it doesn't come over as an emergency.
There's research on it that verifies it. I'm just saying, it's just, if that is an intended emergency alert system, just like junk mail, you start flooding mails and messages to people and so forth. I'm not saying it's a bad method to do it, but people start not looking at your messages when you start sending all your business via the emergency loop. So,
Number two, with budgets, we can't use it to say, hey, go out and vote.
No.
no.
Right, which is, and that's why I said the notification of district meeting may have been an issue potentially with state statute that prevents us from putting vote-based communications, even not saying no, but that the vote is happening, out via those distribution systems. But some of the other items that have been raised are good topics.
But to your point, we do need to find another way to communicate. Just my only caution would be using that system for that could be a problem. Either way, but anything else, Joe?
Nope.
Okay. Thank you. That brings us to negotiations. Negotiations has a matter down for, scheduled for executive sessions, so there's no report there. Athletic and extracurricular activities?
We didn't have a meeting, so we were scheduled next, monthly meeting sometime next month, next 2 weeks.
And same for finance and audit didn't meet. Facilitators, educational foundation, David?
I didn't make less than that. I think we just did, we got a new board member. Other than that,
Nothing for East Conference? Okay. Kevin?
Kate, two events of any significance coming up. This Thursday afternoon at 2 at Cape's headquarters, they're going to be running a workshop on legal issues that impact the daily work of the superintendents, executive assistants, administrative assistants, and secretaries. It's during the workday, so I get that it's a conflict for most people, but if it's something that you're interested in attending, please let the office know. Excuse me. And then the Cape Caps Conference this year is slated for November 20th and, November 20th. And so I would ask that any of the board members that have an interest in being attendees at that event, it has a great deal of information, a really good opportunity to network with our peers. Please, again, let your desires be known through the office. It's a Mystic, as it has been, yes, Mystic. Yeah, it's typically a Friday, Saturday event.
2021,
what is that again?
Friday the 20th, Saturday.
Yeah, it's in
We'll send
Mystic.
it to you there. Okay, chair report. The first issue for November 8th, we talked, I know at the last meeting you guys discussed possibility of having a retreat on Sunday, November 8th. Is that still a possibility? Is it the right date? Is that the right date?
That's the first Sunday in November.
Okay, yeah, just want to make sure that that's okay.
I saw that date on my calendar.
Okay, and then the items for that is a board retreat, a segment to do, for us to review the superintendent's performance review, and I think that'd be a good foundation for us to lay a strategy and maybe a timeline for revisiting the strategic plan. And then the second is, Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, a special meeting of Bob on Monday, November 9th, and that is for the board to review the reports of the consultants, the engineers.
Yeah, I guess we have to, what everybody wants. I mean, I think bringing both groups in is obviously,
Yeah, no, that's fine. I
Yeah.
just wanted, that's a good day to do it, is what I'm saying. You think the reports will be done?
I have not, I'm in communication with BSC, so I don't know, will they meet the?
Well, that was the date we set at the facilities committee. So
Correct.
my instruction to them would be to work toward that date and to make a presentation on that date, because they indicated that it would be fine for them to do that.
On the 5th, will they be giving a synopsis as well on the master
That's what I'm
plan,
hoping to see.
in addition to ADA? That's the end.
Yeah, Bob.
Just one thing, the meeting on the 9th, any idea, because I need an executive session to go over some.
Yep, we need to add the executive session. I think the executive session and the items that were presented for tonight is going to be my recommendation if we do it on.
I just got a call from the person who's supposed to be present, she said, can't make it, so the issue was here.
Okay.
But I do need that executive session
On the 9th.
on the 9th.
Right.
What time are we gonna start too?
Okay. Action items, 8.1, approval of the minutes from September 21st, 2015, regular meeting, enclosure 8.1A.
So moved.
Second by Kevin, second by Dave. Any discussion?
I have a comment on the minutes about the condition of the building that were in the minutes. I wasn't at this meeting, but I read the minutes and I'm,
Joe, if you have a recommended change or you see an error in it, we can talk about it. We're discussing the content of the minutes.
okay, well, then it was part of the discussion.
Well, it's discussion, I think, to approve the minutes as they're submitted, so if there's a recommended change that you have, I think the substance of the comments in there, and
Okay.
the opinion
And I
is
have-
up to that, I
okay.
don't think we can do so. Okay. Any other discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed, any abstentions? 8.2, personnel actions. I need a motion to, we're going to do this piecemeal, that the Regional School District Number 8 Board of Education approve a leave of absence for Christine Hartwood commencing approximately December 14, 2015, and running through April 1st, 2016.
So moved.
Motion made by Kevin, is there a second? Seconded by Rich. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Next one is the motion that the Regional School District Number 8 Board of Education approve a leave of absence for Kim Hills commencing approximately January 22nd, 2016, and running through May 31st, 2016. Motion made by Dave,
Second?
second by Manny. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion passes. Last one. Yep. The motion that the Regional School District Number 8 Board of Education approve a leave of absence. Sorry? What's somebody say? Wow, Siri, did Siri say the motion? That the Regional School District Number 8 Board of Education approve a leave of absence for Jennifer Merchant commencing approximately December 15, 2015, and running through March 8, 2016. Motion made by Kevin, second by Manny. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. At the Regional School District, your motion at the Regional School District Number 8 Board of Education approve a leave of absence for Jackie Yosher, commencing approximately December 19, 2015, and running through April 1st, 2016. Motion made by Kevin, second by Manny. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Just one comment there, Danny, for Bob. If I recall right, 2 of those 4 are special ed. So we talked about 6 assignments and issues of challenges with special ed staffing. We're going to have backfill from maternity leave for 2 special ed teachers.
And all 4 for the same reason.
Right.
Well, the enrollments
Moving
go
along.
up in the
Yep.
13 years.
Action 8.3, I need a motion to receive and file the following reports. The levy payment schedule, enclosure 8.3A, cash flow reports 8.3B, student activity report 8.3C, monthly budget report, enclosure 8.3D, curriculum instruction assessment instructional technology report, enclosure 8.3E, student discipline, enclosure 8.3F, sick day report, enclosure 8.3G, special education report 8.3H, and cafeteria report 8.3I. Motion made by Dave, second by Manny. Any discussion?
Yep.
Yep, go ahead, Amy.
I just wanted to note that the middle school has not suspended a kid out of school since March of 2015, and I think that does it right now.
Great, thank you. Any other discussion or comments?
I'm not gonna vote again because of the balancing of the budget.
Thank you, Rich. Any other comments? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, say aye. Any opposed?
And
Two abstentions, two oppositions, or two no votes. I guess. Any abstentions? And the motion passes. Item 8.4, Kevin, take over from the first reading.
Okay, so first reading policies are divided into two packets, and these will be the way they'll be presented for second reading as well. The packet with Shipman and Goodwin recommendations are exclusively language changes to match CGS, so that's just to comply with state language. The items in 8.4B, which is packet number 2, are specific recommendations as far as things to consider for policy for the board itself. We'll get into those individually when we bring them up for second reading, but feel free to provide comment and feedback.
I'd like to make a motion that we move policy number 1424, fundraising change to booster clubs, to the athletic, what's the right terminology? Athletic and extracurricular activities board for review and public forum on that policy before we get to first reading.
Before we do it,